Wednesday, and today is not as long as yesterday, but not too short. Okay. Today we continue with the laws governing respect for authority. Elihim lo yisikalo, you must not curse God, but nosiv amcha lo yisar, nor may you curse a leader of your people. Rashi, Elikim lo yisikalo, this is a prohibition about blaspheming, cursing God. And the prohibition also of cursing a judge, because the word Elohim can mean God, it can mean a judge. You can't curse either. Your ripened grain or your truma do not defer in offering it. You shall present me the firstborn of your sons. That which you are obliged to do when your produce becomes fully ripe. Milayascha means that which you're obliged to do when your produce becomes fully ripe, and that is separating bikurim, the first fruits. V'dimacha means your truma. I do not know what the term dema means, but it means truma. Whatever. Lo yisa'acher, do not defer it. What does it mean? Don't change the order of their separation by bringing the first, tithe later and so on. In other words, for example, don't give the truma before separating the bikurim, or don't give the tithe before the truma. There's a pecking order, so to speak. You shall present the firstborn of your sons to me to redeem. Present for what? To redeem him with the 5 coins in the kayin. Now, did the Torah already command us this elsewhere? Rather, the reason why it is written here, it is ordered to juxtapose the words, you shall likewise do with your ox, with your sheep. Just as one is to redeem the firstborn of a person after 30 days, as it says, in the redemption of the firstborn person you carried 1 month old, so too the firstborn of animals, you take care for 30 days and you give it to the kayin. So I'm sorry. Here it's talking about you give you redeem your child for 5 coins. We said this elsewhere. So why is it saying again? Because it's to make a connection to the next pasuk. What's the next pasuk? It's going to say about giving the firstborn animal. So what do you learn? You learn that just like you give a child of the fourth, that you redeem after 30 days, so too you give the animal after 30 days. So you shall do likewise to your ox, to your sheep and goats. It shall remain with its mother for a 7-day period. And the 8th day you may give it to me. 7 days it shall be with his mother. This implies a prohibition for the priest. That if this implies prohibition for the priest that if he comes to hasten the offering of the animal, he shall not hasten to do it before the animal's 8th day, because it's still short of time to be suitable for a sacrifice. Okay. So it sounds like basically we say it seems like a contradiction. The animal is given after 30 days. The animal is given after 30 days. So what was 7, 8 days? It says that's a separate. There's 2 people in this equation. There's the non-Kohen who has to give his firstborn animal to the Kohen, and now we say wait 30 days. Take care of it. Don't give him a wet, behind the ears calf. Take care of it. Give him tended to for 30 days. The reality is, though, if the Kohen got it somehow, he can't do it till the 8th day. That's the point.
Rashi. 8 is the minimum.
Minimum. On the eighth day, I might have thought this means that it should be that it is an obligation to give it on that day. However, it says here the word Shmini, the eighth day, and also says, and the eighth day onwards is still acceptable. Just as the meaning of the eighth day mentioned below is to permit from the eighth day onwards, so too the eighth day mentioned here is to permit the animal from the eighth day onwards. That's the meaning. On the eighth day, you may give it to me. Doesn't mean on the eighth day. After the eighth day and onwards.
Yeah, but Rabbi.
Yeah.
It said it sounds like based on you just taught us that
Yeah.
read is that the eighth day is the best.
No. You just can't do it to the eighth day.
Right, but it sounded like you should do it on eighth.
You may give it to me. You may give it to me.
Okay.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Lamed v'anshi kodesh yilin. You will be man of holiness to me. Meat, any flesh of an animal torn in the field, you shall not eat. You shall throw it to the dogs. Rashi anshe kodesh yilin. You shall be a man in holiness if you're holy and stay away from the abhorrence of eating carcass and treif as you're mine. But if not, you're not mine.
Wow.
Any flesh of an animal torn in the field, the law of this avabayis came. The law of this verse applies equally. But the pasuk is speaking in the present, at a place that the meaning anywhere the animal becomes mauled, even in the farm yard. But it happens more in the field where it happens. Therefore, just give the common example. We see the Torah gives the most common example, but not to exclude other scenarios. Unkelis translates this as flesh that is torn off through being mauled by a wolf or lion from a kosher wild animal or a kosher domestic animal while it's alive. Um, um, So Unkelos and Rashi have different opinions. It seems to me that Rashi is saying it means an animal that is mauled, it's still alive. Even if you slaughter it later, it's because it's mauled, it has punctures of its lungs or internal organs, it's forbidden. Unkelos says no, it's talking more a case of the animal chopped off meat while the animal's alive. A lion, you knocked off a leg of the donkey, of the cow, and then you slaughtered the cow. That leg is not kosher. So it's a different opinion of what it's saying. Moving on. Rashi. What do you do with treifa meat? Treifa technically means meat that was, injured. You throw it to the dogs. Now it says, in respect to giving it away, you can give it to a non-Jew as well, just like you give it to a dog, right? Because we say elsewhere you can give it to. When we say elsewhere, you can sell it to a non-Jew. So does it mean literally you got to give it to a dog, or you can give it to anybody? It doesn't have to keep kosher. So Rashi says, you see elsewhere it says that you can sell it to a non-Jew. So there, where it's talking about a carcass, which is even a lesser, it literally was killed, the animal, and even that you can sell to a non-Jew. How much more so a mauled animal where it's not as oh. An avela is also a source of impurity, yet you can still give it to a non-Jew. A treifa that has no impurity, you can for sure give it to him as well. So why do you say here dog? to tell you a special, will tell you that a dog is more respectable than a heathen, than a pagan. Right. An idol worshiping non-Jew is lower than a dog.
Whoa.
Because a dog fulfills its purpose, at least, it wags its tail, it barks. It does what God created it. The idol worshiper is negating his purpose in life. Anyways, moving on, also telling you another thing, that Hashem always does not withhold reward from any creature. Since it says, towards all the children of Israel, no dog will even wet its tongue. The Holy One, blessed be He, said, give it its reward.
Rabbi, when it says give, it can be sell. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Aleph. Lo yisis Hashem Hashav, you must not accept an unauthentic report. Al tashas yadchem rasha, do not collaborate with a wicked person. Liyos eid chamos, to act as a corrupt witness for him. Rashi, lo yisis Hashem Hashav, do not accept an unauthentic report. Ki targumai, as English translates, you must not accept a false report. So it says don't carry a false report. Don't accept it. This is saying you shouldn't accept lashon hara. And also for a judge not to hear the words of one litigant until the other litigant comes. Do not collaborate with a wicked person. With one who makes a false claim against his fellow man by promising to be a corrupt witness for him. You must not follow the majority to do evil. Must not follow the majority to do evil, nor may you respond in a dispute according to the majority opinion, so as to prefer justice. You must not follow the majority for evil. Nor may you respond in a dispute according to the majority to prefer justice. Okay, let's see what it says. Don't follow majority for evil, says Rashi. There are a number of interpretations of the sages of Israel in this verse, but here's the simple way. They don't fit well accordingly. From here, they derive the following, that a court must not reach a guilty verdict on based on the majority of just one vote more. And the end of the pasuk proves this. They prove that you have to have majority to tilt it. If there's two that are indicting the guy more than those that are saying he's innocent, then you can do that. And this is talking about capital punishment. By capital punishment, the Gemara says that you can, by capital punishment, you have to have two saying guilty to make a verdict that's guilty. And in the middle of the verse, they expound, do not respond on the Rav, meaning don't argue on the mufla, don't contradict the most eminent judge. Therefore, we begin with capital punishment. One begins at the side. One asks the lesser among the judges to give their opinion first. And according to the words of the rabbis, the meaning of the verse is as follows. You must not follow the majority for bad to impose a death sentence on account of a majority of one among the judges who find the defense. So here's how you read it. Don't follow the majority to make the guy have the death penalty of just one guilty vote more.
Oh, that was my question.
Continue. Don't respond against the chief to deviate from his words. The Riv could be Rav. After the majority, you shall lean. Next page. There's a majority that you could indict the guy guilty of capital punishment. When there's two more votes of guilty over innocent. And that's what it says. It says you should not follow the majority for bad. I can infer, but you can be with them for good. What does it mean? Capital cases, you could have one vote more of innocent rulers, and that makes him guilt. That makes him innocent. When it's half-half, it's deadlocked. You have to add more judges. But when it's one more, that's enough to make him innocent. But for guilt, you need two more. Onkelos translates it as "Do not leisismina alphala ba devinach aldino." Do not refrain from teaching your opinion on what you are asked in a legal case. And according to the translation, so is the Hebrew text to be explained. If you're asked about a legal matter, do not respond by deviating to one side and moving yourself from the dispute. So he said, "Oh, goes another way. If you're asked to give, you're a rabbi, you give a judgment, and you're asked, don't run away from it. Be truthful." But I say, I like my first things is Rashi because more according to plain sense of meaning. And here's how Rashi would translate it. Okay, no. Rashi gave you the rabbis. It's not so good, the words. He gave you Onkelos. I hear the number 3. Rashi's like, this is his recommended reading. Do not follow the majority for evil. If you see wicked men perverting justice in a legal case, do not say, since they are majority, I shall follow them. Since they are majority, I shall follow them. Okay. You may not respond in a dispute to pervert. So if you see a wicked group of judges and they're doing the wrong thing, don't say, oh, anyways, I can't, I'm going to lose by the majority. I'll just do what they say. Meaning, don't give your truthful opinion, even if it won't change the final verdict of the court. You must not respond in dispute to pervert. The defendant asks you your opinion in that case. Do not answer about the dispute, something that follows that wicked majority to pervert the case in its true judgment. But rather pronounce the judgment as it is and let the majority bear the punishment. Meaning, so there's a thing when judges, when they say the court's decision, unlike the Supreme Court, you don't say who was the for and against. However, that's only by a valid judgment. When the majority has perverted justice, then the righteous judge should say his dissenting opinion. I did not know that.
So what if the judge does that? What happens?
He's supposed to. Nothing happens, but you have to say the truth, even if you're not going to be listened to.
Right.
Gimel, you must not give undue respect to a poor man in his dispute. Rashi lo sedar. Do not give undue respect by vindicating him in a lawsuit. Don't say, since he's a poor man, I shall vindicate him and thereby honor him. Hey, would you see the donkey of someone whom you hate buckling under its load and refrain from helping it? You must help him unload it. Okay. When you see a donkey buckling under its load, says Rashi, here's maybe, not because, or maybe you'll see, because ki can mean maybe, when, here means maybe. It says more rhetorically, would you see a donkey buckling and not help it? Refrain from helping it. Aziv tazvimai. You must help. Aziva here means help. Similarly, fortify Yerushalayim up to the wide wall. They filled it with earth so as to fortify and support the strength of the wall. A similar strength of key in the sense of said above is, say to yourself, these nations are more numerous than I. How can I possibly drive them out? When it says Kisemer, could you possibly say so as a rhetorical question? Rather, do not be afraid of them. So here, Azoiv means actually help, not leave. Or no, you should help. Would you Not would you refrain from helping? Help. We see proof that azoiv can mean help. The Medrash says here, here's the rabbis expound it. When you will see and you'll refrain, sometimes so it's written in a kind of a weird way. You don't usually give a ruling, a mitzvah in it like a rhetorical question, right? You say, when you see your friend, the way I would read key is when you see your friend, help him. Doesn't mean that. Rashi says, would you see would you see a donkey buckling on and not help him? Surely help him, which is very unusual for a commandment to be kind of in this like poetic way. So the reason the Gemara says that is because there's a double halacha here. What's the double halacha? Sometimes you could refrain from helping. How? A old man sees the animal and it's beneath his dignity. The chadalta, and you will refrain. So it means there's sometimes, if you're an elderly man, you don't have to go, break your back to help a donkey. It's not your thing. Or, for example, if the animal belongs to a non-Jew and the load to a Jew, you may refrain. That's not the halacha that follows Rabbi Yossi Glili, who says the Tsar B'Alechaim is rabbinic. But the majority rabbis hold, it doesn't make a difference. Jew or non-Jew, the animal's in suffering, you got to help it. So according to the opinion that holds that it's only rabbinic, and you don't have to help the non-Jew's animal. It's only to a brother. You have to.
Azov is very strange, right?
Right. It's the opposite. Usually azov we think means leave, abandon, right?
Lo ta'azovu. Yeah, that's what I hear all the time.
So here it's unique. It's Oculus, interesting, holds it actually means whatever. That's Ozer Tazima, you shall surely help him to unload the burden, Mishkala, mean for moving his burden from it.